Hey, we had some technical difficulties, but we are back and talking about the importance of flowers in your garden. The more flowers and plant diversity you have in your garden, the more insect diversity you have in your garden, and then the kind of ecosystem just like builds off of there. So the more diversity, the healthier your vegetable garden is, and hopefully the little more easier it will be for you. So what are some practical tips to get some flowers into your garden? Well, we talked about this one, which is plant a cover crop in the fall that will make flowers in the spring. These are turnips we planted last fall as a cover crop, and the honeybees and the smaller mason bees love these. Another practical step is to let some weeds flower. Try to keep them under control, of course, but for example, across the way here I have what's called creeping Charlie, or it's also called ground ivy, which is a pretty pernicious weed, and I really don't like that we have it. It's kind of overwhelming, but the larger bees, like bumblebees, carpenter bees, I even saw a hummingbird moth on it just a little while ago, are really visiting those pretty heavily right now. So my goal a couple weeks ago was to weed whack it down and smother it, but I think I'm going to let it kind of go a little past its peak bloom period, just to give these bees and moths some nectar sources for the next couple weeks. So I think we're going to pan to that. The shorter, more purple flower is the creeping Charlie, and then we also have dead nettle, which is kind of the taller, more pinkish maroon color stuff, and might be kind of hard to capture, but trust me in that there's lots of the larger bees that are visiting these. I think the turnip flowers are a little too dainty. Bumblebees, carpenter bees aren't the best flyers. They're huge bees with little tiny wings, and so the stuff that's closer to the ground I think is maybe a little easier for them. Also, different insects appreciate different types of flowers, so flower morphology is important. So plant a lot of different looking flowers. So we have these types of flowers that are kind of small and clustered versus the more intricate kind of dead nettle flowers and ground ivy flowers. Herbs are a great thing to plant in your garden. Dill, fennel, cilantro. Those types of herbs are really great because they bloom in what's called an umbel, which is kind of like a very wide, kind of like a flat stage, if you will, which is really good for the insects that can't fly very well, to provide a landing pad for them, because they'll still visit those little tiny flowers, but it's just easier and more accessible. So plant things that have flowers that look different, because different insects like different looking flowers. In the same line with that, plant different colored flowers. Now, yellow is a very, very attractive color for insects. Insects tend to go towards yellow flowers, but don't forget to plant white flowers, purple flowers, blue flowers, kind of have an array of different colors, because certain insects do appreciate different colored flowers. Insects view light differently than us, so what they are seeing when they look at these mustard flowers is not at all what I'm seeing. They see a different light spectrum than we do, so it's more like neon and lit up, and it's just like a beacon for them, and they'll just see this color and head right towards it. So plant things to flower. Let some weeds flower. When you plant flowers, plant different shapes of flowers, plant different colors of flowers, and plant things that flower at different times. So you can have different flowers blooming at all parts of the 3-season garden year that we have in spring, summer, and fall. And that extends the amount of insects that will, visit your garden throughout the season and pollinate your tomatoes and pepper plants and eggplants and all those things. And also maybe attract some generalist predators that will kill